can Sense8 teach us about human relationships in life and fiction? So, mild spoilers for the Netflix series Sense8 in this video, but I want this video to be an encouragement for you to watch it if you haven't watched it. This is not the kind of show where a story detail being spoiled for you will ruin the experience of the show. It's an emotional experience. So if you don't mind knowing about this before it comes, I say please watch this video if you're on the fence, because I hope that I'll be able to convince you to watch it. So if you don't know, Sense8 is a Netflix series created by the Wachowski siblings about 8 people from across the world who are very suddenly connected by way of a mental link. It's kind of hard to describe. It actually takes the series about 3 episodes before you really even understand what that means.
If you're here, who's driving back there?
Now, the show's gotten a lot of praise for its diverse cast and global setting, and it's totally deserved. Yeah, you've got 2 central homosexual relationships, one of which is a lesbian couple featuring a trans woman who is actually portrayed by a trans actress, Jamie Clayton, which never happens ever, and that's fucking awesome. But for me, it isn't just the diversity that makes Sense8 so phenomenal, it's the bodily realism. What I mean by that is that a lot of fiction tends to gloss over the basic facts of human existence, things that we find unglamorous or not beautiful or not narratively interesting. Things like the slimy strap-on hitting the ground in episode 1, not just showing a vagina giving birth, but showing a fucking C-section. Son's period affecting Lito's mood.
You know, cancer runs in my family, Hernando. What if it's cancer? What is it? What is the point? What is the point? My lane is not going any faster, you... Fuck! I see you, Miran! I see you! With your fucking Miran mustache!
Your visceral reaction to these things tends to be a sort of like, ew, that's gross, like it's disgusting. But the show forces us to ask, why? Why do we feel like these things are disgusting? And I think it's incredibly refreshing to see a show that tries to be honest about the human experience. And this leads me into what I find so fascinating about Sense8 is that it feels like an extended antithesis of all of the bad romantic subplots in all of our genre fiction, and fiction in general. 4 or 5 years ago, I was trying to write a short story about romance, about relationships, and I talked to a friend of mine who reads a lot of romance fiction, and I asked, you know, I'm trying to portray what a relationship looks like. You know, a lot of movies, they are about the courtship phase and the leading up to the point where they have their first kiss, and then it's sort of like, and happily ever after. And I wanted to explore what actually happens in a relationship. And so I asked this person, you know, why hasn't this really been explored in a lot of romance fiction? And she told me relationships are boring, because really what it is do you want to take out the trash or do I? Are you gonna do the dishes? Is it me? What movie do you want to watch? I don't care. Now, while I don't necessarily agree with this idea, I do think that I do understand where they're coming from. Now, Sense8 is a show that is all about relationships, and it manages to overcome this barrier by creating a metaphor for what living relationships actually are. Not only are we barraged with images deemed too explicit for general viewership, we're also forced to question the difference between platonic and romantic love.
Do I know you? Yeah. We had sex. What? Oh, that was very special.
Oh, hey.
Now, even further down the rabbit hole, Sense8 deals with the theme of loss of individuality. The individual Sense8s, over the course of the season, grow to become less and less themselves and more all of each other as they come to learn how to take advantage of each other's abilities and knowledge. Now, in most fiction, this idea is transparently negative. 12 Monkeys, Clockwork Orange, 1984 all feature sections in which the loss of your individual self is considered the worst thing that can happen to you. The Matrix is built around the idea that being plugged into a human battery system is worse than starving in the cataclysmic wasteland post-human civilization. Even Lord of the Rings, the orcs are a faceless, individualist force of nature that can only be overcome through the will of a few individuals within the Fellowship. Sense8, on the other hand, posits that loss of individuality isn't just positive, it's transcendent. Sense8 proposes that we are meant to be a vast network of neurons firing together, working towards a common goal at our best. At our worst, we are a group of petty singularities vying over resources, killing each other for no good reason. Steven Universe even says something very similar about relationships, that they are a fusion of consciousness, not two individuals, but one experience. What I hope we learn from Sense8 is that it's okay to be open with each other, that we need to be open with each other, that we need to be able to express our emotions, that we can't be afraid to tell the people in our lives that we love them. Because we're all in this together. We're all a part of something bigger than ourselves, and that thing is the human experience. And we have to make it a good one. As Nomi says,
the real violence, the violence that I realized was unforgivable, was the violence that we do to ourselves when we're too afraid to be who we really are.
Now, as of the recording of this video, Netflix has not renewed Sense8 for a second season. In part, this seems to be because the show hasn't brought in as much viewership as hoped. So, if you're seeing this video and you are on the fence about watching Sense8, I encourage you to go watch it and get your friends to watch it. Because it seems that they have a very solid plan in creating this show going forward, and I believe that it deserves to be seen, because this is the kind of storytelling that I personally want to encourage, and that I think many people also want to encourage, because it is diverse, it is honest, and it is, frankly, original. It's interesting, it's different. So go watch Sense8 for frig's sake. I'm trying not to cuss as much. These videos or whatever. Thanks.